Hi, my name is Phil Jensen. I'm Head of Client Success with Search Machines, and this is a quick overview of some work we've been doing with Greetings Ireland. Greetings Ireland sell online greeting cards around the world, and they have done a stellar job with their SEO. They are in #1 position for so many keywords for organic search. But unfortunately, they weren't seeing that same sort of results for search marketing. In fact, actually quite the opposite. They saw low revenue and actually a ROAS that was below break even, which obviously they didn't want. So they invited us to come and help in March 2022. And in those first 8 months of working with them, we saw a 401% increase in revenue. And so these are 3 of the major interventions that we made to achieve that result. The first was to give Google a bit of a helping hand. So what we found with Google Smart Bidding is that while it is very smart, that it really struggles when there's a high variability in the values that are being passed back in a particular dimension. Now that dimension might be by country, or by device, or by gender, or by age. There's loads that you can look at. But when you see that variability, sometimes what it does is it over-delivers on ROAS or it under-delivers on ROAS. And actually that's an issue because what we want is a nice, even distribution of ROAS so we can get the maximum yield out of the account. And that's exactly what we saw with Greetings Ireland in 2 different ways. The first was by country. So the charts you have in front of you here are showing country performance within Greetings Ireland. On the left-hand side, you have optimal performance. So the size of the bubble reflects the value given to that country or flowing through that country. On the bottom, you've got cost, and going up the side, you've got ROAS. So ideally speaking, what we want is a nice, even line. Everything is delivering the same amount, regardless of the country. In the middle, you have the actual performance. And here we have a problem because we have a real divergence in performance. We have some countries that are significantly over-delivering, and actually that means we could be more aggressive in our bidding. And we also have some countries that are under-delivering, which means that we might want to bid less aggressively. And so it's inefficient. The right-hand chart shows the results after 4 months of our new campaign structure. And what you can see is a much more even distribution of ROAS across each of the countries. The second dimension where we saw a problem was the way in which people searched for greetings cards. So typically they would use the word invitation or card in their search. Invitations is a very specific piece of intent. It's very obvious what somebody is searching for, and there isn't much divergence in that. Card, on the other hand, was frankly a bit of a nightmare. So credit cards, Pokemon cards, magic cards, baseball cards. I mean, there are so many different cards that people search for that are not greetings cards. And so Google was struggling with that as well. And what we could see is that invitations had a much higher revenue per acquisition than cards as a term. So what we came up with was just a very simple but elegant design for the account. We would break out by major country categories and also by these different types of search terms that people made. And that unlocked a huge amount of revenue within the account. The second thing we did was, it's to do the basics really well. We are blessed at Search Machines with an amazing tool called Atlas. It's an AI platform that we've built, and it helps us to find the very best keywords in any particular search domain, then to build out super specific ads for those keywords, and to allocate the best possible landing page to them. And so we did this for Greetings Ireland and achieved fantastic coverage across all of the search terms that were relevant to Greetings Ireland. And then added to that also was judicious use and careful use of negatives. So all of those really unwanted card terms that we had, we ended up developing a list of well over 500 negatives for cards so that we could block all of the bad traffic. Sometimes it's just about doing the fundamentals really well. The last major thing we did was to deal with a bit of an unwelcome surprise that we got when we started looking at the account. The way that value was passed back into Google was to take the transaction at checkout and pass it back. And there were 3 different ways that people could buy cards: a one-off purchase, a monthly subscription, or an annual subscription. And what that meant was with the one-off purchase, maybe say $7 was passed back. For the annual subscription, what was passed back was just the cost of the first installment. So as far as Google was concerned, a one-off purchase was worth 3 times as much as an annual subscription, whereas actually completely the opposite was true. So what we did was to work with the client to get a lifetime value passed back to Google instead of this incorrect value. And that really helped Google to understand what was valuable to the clients, increase the number of annual subscriptions, and increase the overall revenue flowing through the account. So overall, the results have been amazing. 401% improvement or increase in revenue, a 35% improvement in ROAS, and CPCs have dropped 23%. We've had a fantastic time working with Greetings Ireland. We're delighted with the results that we've achieved with them.